WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. We are positively through the bye week. We got football the rest of the way. It's the holidays, all that good stuff going on in the Maryland Crab Cake Tour. Back out on the road. We will be at State Fair on Tuesday morning this week. Got a very, very busy week around here with the baseball winter meetings going on. Luke will be monitoring all of that. He will also be out in Owings Mills. He's had a few days off, although you're really never off when you're watching college football. You're watching pro football when the Orioles can do something, even though they haven't done anything yet. We welcome him in. He is our defending champion. He is Baltimore Luke. You can find his work out on the interwebs anywhere Baltimore Luke travels. And, of course, the home repository over at BaltimorePositive.com. How was your weekend off? How did that go for you? I mean, it wasn't a weekend off for a bunch of teams. I mean, the Chiefs took the weekend off. A bunch of teams got out of the way. AFC North. It was a good weekend of football for the most. It was a really nice weekend to sit on the couch and watch ball.
Yeah, and a fruitful weekend for the Ravens, who had the bye week, rest up, get some guys hopefully fresh or as fresh as they can be for the final stretch run. But you come out of the weekend with a full 2-game lead in the AFC North, with both Pittsburgh and Cleveland losing. Kansas City loses on Sunday night. They're no longer technically in the number one spot because of the conference record tiebreaker with Miami, but we kind of knew that was going to happen. And of course, pending the result of Jacksonville-Cincinnati Monday night. But a good weekend for the Ravens, and I think you look around the league, there's still plenty of question marks in both conferences, quite frankly, to varying degrees, but a lot of excitement. As you mentioned, college football, of course, the playoff set and lots of controversy there, but a fun weekend, and certainly for Ravens fans, a good weekend as it pertains to just kind of sitting back and seeing what the rest of the league looks like. And I'll continue to say, maybe other than the San Francisco 49ers, I don't think there's a team in the league playing better than the Baltimore Ravens right now.
How's your brother-in-law doing? How's the family doing after that whole Philadelphia thing? I mean, that was quite a Sunday afternoon, and monitoring that and all the bad weather, and then the Joe Flacco thing. And I'm not wearing orange for the Cleveland Browns here. I'm wearing my orange Curio shirt for the Orioles and for winter meetings this week. But I don't know if Joe can still play, but he can still throw.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a nice story. Look, he didn't finish that game the way that he wanted to. I know he really lamented the late interception that he threw in that game, but was certainly, I think he proved the point that he's at least still a quality backup in the league. And look, with so many quarterbacks hurt at this point in the season,
dude, he's better than 15 of the starters from what I can see, throwing the football.
Right. I mean, okay, purely throwing, sure. Is he better than 15 legitimate starting quarterbacks in the NFL? No, not even close.
Well, starting when I'm saying backup, like some of the guys I've seen.
Right.
He's better than 6 of the quarterbacks we've seen on the Ravens schedule this year, by far. And he's by far the best quarterback on their roster that's healthy, that could play, and he wasn't even in the league 2 weeks ago. So, I mean, we talk about quarterback issues and stuff, and dude's got $200 million in the bank. He doesn't need to be slapping around for the Las Vegas Raiders to be desperate for a job. I mean, if I get together with him, I'll ask him about this, because it's a fascinating thing that he waited out and joined the team with a chance to make the playoffs. And they could have won on Sunday, and, everybody knows I'm a Joe defender or whatever. I mean, he only won the Super Bowl here. I mean, I like guys who win the Super Bowl here. I usually like them forever, except for Terrell Suggs. But most of them I like forever. In the case of Joe, him sitting on the sidelines and being a little bit of a punchline and rolling around. I mean, he went out and played pretty good football on Sunday for being a guy who hadn't played football in a long time, and certainly for a team that needed to win and play well. He gave them a chance to win. He really did.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I think for me, watching him play, what an indictment on the New York Jets, considering they lose Rodgers, 3 snaps into their season. They pretend they still love Zach Wilson for half the season before they finally bench him because he was so terrible. And, they're cycling through more quarterbacks now. I mean, look.
I don't know that Joe would have run out and played for the Jets in week 2. I don't know that.
I think he would have. Joe wanted to play. I mean, I don't think there were a lot of teams blowing up Joe Flacco's phone all season long.
But I think they would have said to Joe, "You're not going to play. You're going to come in here and hold the clipboard for this kid who can't play."
But that's their problem. that's why the Jets are where they are. That's my point.
Right.
If they had re-signed Flacco in week 2, getting him ready to play by week 4, let's say, and remember he was there last year, Jets would probably have, yeah, they'd have a couple more wins at least. Now, this is where we get into what is Joe Flacco at this point in his career. Are the Browns Super Bowl contenders with Flacco a quarterback? No, not even close. For one thing, their defense has faltered the last couple weeks, which is kind of the dirty little secret for them. If they're going to be this playoff team that's going to be interesting in January, they need their defense to continue to play like how the Ravens defense has played, and they're suddenly not doing that the last couple weeks. But the point is, and you said this, and I totally agree, are they more viable with him at quarterback than Thompson Robinson or PJ Walker? Yeah, no question about it. Would the Jets have been more viable with Flacco than Zach Wilson? Sure. I'll also say this, and it was a good, it was a solid performance. It was admirable how he played, considering he was there 2 weeks. If you look at Joe the last couple years in the league, he'd be good for a game or two, and you'd see this, and then you'd see it not look so good. So I'll also throw that out there. But the
I think
point
he looks like he's in shape, though, in a way. Like, well, I don't know what the hell he's been doing the last 12 weeks, but
yeah,
clearly he's been throwing the football and running around. He looks strong. He looks fit in a way that he looked old and tired the last couple of years. He didn't look old and tired to me on Sunday. He really didn't. He looked slower. He's 39 years old, but he didn't look like he didn't belong. He didn't look like Johnny U running around for the Chargers, for sure. I mean, I've seen
yeah,
way, way, way worse quarterback play from young guys who cannot play the game and cannot throw the football and look completely overwhelmed. I mean, he looked
sure.
like a guy who'd started 200 football games in the league.
Sure. And that's part of this is where you get into what a team is looking for at that position, as far as where a team is in terms of, are you a Super Bowl contender? Are you a playoff contender? Are you a team that's going to be 7-10? Or are you a team that's playing for the number 1 overall pick? When you have a 38-year-old quarterback, there's a limited number of teams that are going to be interested in you just inherently because they want someone younger, cheaper, someone who might have some upside, someone who you say, okay, he's not very good right now, but like, for example, Thompson Robinson for Cleveland, we think that's the guy that can develop into Deshaun Watson's backup, right? So, I mean, you're always looking for different things for players at different stages of their career. And Flacco, he is 30. He's going to be 39 in a month, right? I mean, he's almost 39. So to
He
say
also has
38,
5 kids and didn't want to go to training camp and be a third string quarterback for the Jets, right? I mean,
I mean, see, that's where I'm not so sure because I mean, he was the Jets' backup last year and barely played. So I mean, I think he wanted to play. I don't know if the phone was ringing for him, quite frankly. And I think it finally did ring, and it is a decent situation for him. And we'll see how it plays out the next couple weeks. I assume he played well enough where the Browns are going to say, yeah, we're going to go with him, at least until he proves he shouldn't be the guy,
well, he
or
gave them
until
a
we're out
chance
of
to
it.
win. I mean, that last pass was awful, and
Yeah.
you can write the book on Joe one way or another, but he could have won that game.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, like I said, he played solid football in that game and wasn't a way that he wanted to finish it. But like I said, their defense needed to play better. I mean, the Browns they're all about their defense, right? I mean, it's been this debate for the better part of the last couple months. Who has the best defense in the league, the Browns or the Ravens? And the last couple weeks, the Browns defense has not played like the best team in the league, best defense in the league. So yeah, we'll see how it plays out. But bringing it back to the Ravens and what it means for them, if I'm the Ravens sitting there, not overly worried about Pittsburgh. And we'll get to them in a moment, sure, certainly. And I look at the Browns and say, okay, are they better with Joe Flacco at quarterback than DTR? Sure. Are they going to be good enough to the point where we're really overly concerned now with 2 games, a 2-game lead with 5 to go? John Harbaugh is not going to say this publicly. Lamar Jackson's not going to say it publicly, but I see that and I'm not overly concerned. If I'm a Raven, I'm saying, hey, I'll take care of our own business. I'm not that worried about Pittsburgh and Cleveland. Cincinnati's done. I mean, done, right? With Joe Burrow out for the year. So it's their division. I mean, they're in the driver's seat at this point. And if they don't win the division, it's going to be a big time failure, quite frankly, when you have a 2-game lead with 5 to go, regardless of the schedule. I mean, I get it. They have a tough schedule, but at the same time, Cleveland and Pittsburgh are not as good as the Baltimore Ravens. They're not even close to as good as the Baltimore Ravens right now. So they got to go out and play good football, starting against LA on Sunday, which, by the way, don't sleep on the Rams. They've looked better the last few weeks, and they want to football game
Well, I
on
was going to say,
Sunday, of
watching
course.
Joe Flacco means you were watching the Rams. And if you're watching the Rams, you were scouting for what they're doing. And they look to be an improved version of where, I mean, Matt Stafford looked like he was running for his life 6 weeks ago. He looked like he was going to get killed. And I think it looks different now. And these are 5 very, very legitimate games that the Ravens have in front of them where they could go 1-4. They could go 4-1. They need to go out here and take care of business at home because they have had some choppy effort. I mean, you're like, the Steelers aren't as good as the Ravens. The Browns are. They just beat the Ravens. They both beat the Ravens. So, it's
No,
there is,
but do you really think they're as good as the Ravens though? Like the
not
eyeball
in the
test.
least, not in the
Right,
least.
right. And
But
that's my
if
point.
somehow the Browns were to sneak in and have a first game here and come in here on a snowy day and Joe Flacco's on that side, Lamar Jackson's on this side, the weather's not good, and the defenses are what they are, the Ravens could lose a playoff game to the Browns with Joe Flacco in a way that they could not lose to Dorian, whatever the hell his name was. I mean, I do think the Browns have some capabilities. They had a better running game. I mean, watching them all day on Sunday, I'm looking at them and I'm saying, will Joe Flacco play a game in January? I've looked at their schedule too and thought
Mhm.
the Rams are one of the tougher games on their schedule, left on their schedule, right? So they're going to have winnable games where their defense should lead. If their defense isn't leading them, they're not going to win. Joe Flacco's not going to lead them to the
Right.
promised land. Joe Flacco's going to hand the ball off and play responsible football, maybe not throw the game losing pick, but he put them in a position to win in a way that Dorian Thompson-Robinson wouldn't have been
Sure.
in any position to win that football game. So I look at the next 5 weeks and say, to your point, I'm not worried about the Browns or the Steelers. They're not catching the Ravens unless the Ravens really go. I mean, the Ravens get caught, it's their fault. It's not because anything the
Yeah.
Browns or Steelers did.
Oh, no question about it. And even with the schedule, I mean, let's think about it. I mean, this thought came to me as I was watching the Sunday night game and Green Bay doing what they did against the Chiefs. The Chiefs now 2 straight games, and now they did win against the Raiders a week ago, but 2 straight games they've trailed by 2 scores in that game. The Ravens haven't trailed by 2 scores all season. Think about that. They have not trailed by more than 1 possession all season long. And that just speaks to what kind of team they are, what kind of true talent level they are. Speaks to the fact that they should probably be better than 9-3, as we've talked about over and over and over. But yeah, you're right with that. And look, do I think the Ravens could go 1-4? No, not even close to that. But could they drop a couple games here? That's the difference
Well, they
between.
could if something happens to the quarterback. I mean, but I mean,
Well,
that's
that's true of anyone, though. I mean,
Right.
that's the Captain Obvious statement that you apply to Kansas City, to anyone. I mean, if you lose your starting quarterback and you have a legitimate starting quarterback, I mean, you're done. I mean, that's why no one's talking about the Bengals anymore, right? Because Joe Burrow's done for the year. So, but yeah, I mean, it's a tough schedule. I mean, even the Rams coming into Baltimore, Matthew Stafford playing good football. I mean, they still have Cooper Kupp, who, okay, maybe isn't 100%. They've got Puka Nacua, who has been amazing at the wide receiver position as a rookie. I mean, we've given Zay Flowers his flowers. I mean, what Nakua's done this year has been nothing short of remarkable as a guy who was a later pick in that draft back in April.
They
So,
might not play this week, by the way, based on what we saw the other day.
I mean, he came back into the game, so I mean, yeah, it'll depend, but it seems, he seemed to be okay.
I just
As
like saying his name, Puka Nacua. I like when Taki's chasing him too. That's they're two of my favorite
Sure.
names in the whole league.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But I mean, the point is, this is a Rams team that, don't get me wrong, they're not Super Bowl contenders. Are they going to make the playoffs? Probably not, but they've been way better than people thought they were going to be. And, they could be really interesting even next year if Matthew Stafford can continue to fight Father Time off a little bit more. But, that's the easiest game the Ravens have remaining, right? I mean, we've talked about it at Jacksonville, at San Francisco. As I mentioned, the 49ers might be the only team in the league playing better football than the Ravens right now because they've just been outstanding. Since they've gotten everyone back healthy, you see what the 49ers are capable of. And to your point, of people like my brother-in-law got their feelings hurt yesterday with Philadelphia, the Eagles being on the run they were on and then getting beat pretty soundly as that game went on. So, Miami, the Ravens play them week 17. They're currently, as we go into Monday Night Football and, finishing the week, they're the number 1 seed. I don't know if the Dolphins are truly that caliber of a team because you look at their schedule as far as who they've actually beaten, and it's pretty flimsy. But there's no doubt that offense has so much firepower. It has so much speed. So that game's going to be another one of those games. New Year's Eve, what the heck is the weather going to be like? Because that's going to be crucial for the Dolphins
Well,
come
they're still down there
January.
scoring points in the rain in DC from Sunday. I
Yeah,
mean, it was just they could have put up 70.
right, right. But at the same time, every time they've gone up against a really good team, they haven't looked like that. So who's the real Dolphins team? They're certainly a legitimate playoff team. Are they number one seed in the AFC? Great. They still have some convincing to do on that front.
Well,
So
that would be an issue for the
yeah,
Ravens to have to get on a plane and go down there and play in the sun in January instead of coming up here. Maybe not the worst case for the Ravens, but from a weather standpoint, you go to Miami, you're going to get what you get. But if they're at home and they get a week off,
sure.
I mean, Kansas City has played themselves into having to come here or having to go win on the road. And I think that's as big a shock over the weekend because they are the big bad wolf.
Yeah, I mean, and we've talked about this. And look, I've been the first guy to say, hey, Kansas City, they're still the team to beat in the AFC, and they've earned that over the course of 5 years. But if you look at how they are playing compared to perception of what they are and what they've been over the last 5 years, yeah, it's been choppy for them. And I mean, they had a couple more injuries on Sunday night, and Patrick Mahomes, for as much as he is absolutely the best quarterback in the NFL in terms of the big picture perception. Has he had the best season in the NFL among NFL quarterbacks? This hasn't been Mahomes' best season. How much of that is the wide receiver position? I'm sure that is a big factor for him. But is he playing the best football of his career? No. So, that doesn't mean that that's going to matter come January, because keep in mind we're still a month away from all of that. But yeah, this is a Kansas City team that, if I'm a Ravens fan or if I'm the Ravens sitting there Sunday night watching that game, I'm not afraid of Kansas City. It doesn't mean you shouldn't respect them. That doesn't mean that they're not going to come out of the AFC winning, going to the Super Bowl. But right now, they have a good defense. They have a really good running game, better than what they've had in the past. But their passing game, we've talked about it. I mean, their wide receiver position is shaky. I mean, there's no doubt about it. So they have basically one wide receiver in that offense, not including Kelsey, of course, but wide receivers. They have one that most teams would like to have. The rest of those guys are doing next to nothing for them. So, you're the rest of the AFC seeing the Kansas City Chiefs lose on Sunday night. You're feeling better about your own chances, because right now that's looking like a team that still has work to do. And certainly we look at their remaining schedule compared to the Ravens, it is much more favorable for Kansas City in terms of the bye and who's going to ultimately be the number one seed overall. And Jacksonville and Miami are very much in that conversation as well. So we'll see how it plays out. But yeah, I think also on the flip side, impressive Green Bay. I mean, Jordan Love, he kind of looked like a young Aaron Rodgers, but even the way he throws the football kind of reminds you of, he looks like someone who watched Aaron Rodgers for the last 3 years. So good for Green Bay, but for Kansas City, yeah, I mean, that was certainly another performance where you look at the Chiefs and say, look, they're still the Chiefs. Don't be disrespectful. The fact that they look this way right now in early December does not mean that you're going to beat them in January. Doesn't mean you should make any assumptions about what they're going to look like then. But this is not the best version of the Kansas City Chiefs that we've seen, by a long shot. So if you're the Ravens, you're the Jaguars, you're Miami, any of the other wild card hopefuls, you're looking at Kansas City right now and saying, hey, it feels like it's still very much a wide open AFC. And as I've said, I don't think anyone in the conference is playing better football than the Ravens right now. So feeling good about that coming out of the bye week.
He is Luke Jones. We are taking the Maryland Crab Cake Tour back out on the road. We're going to have tons of stuff this week. So we were Coco's on Wednesday. We were at Gertrude's on Thursday, which was phenomenal. Then we spent Friday afternoon up at Hollywood Casino. We did lose our guest, Tom Kelso, to illness late in the week. We did have a replacement up there. I had some fun up at Hollywood Casino in Perryville. We're going to grab Tom this week. Dennis and Bill Cole are going to meet me over at State Fair. We got great guests going on all week. And I've got new scratch-offs. Luke, I got the sniffers. This is the Oh Snap gingerbread. They smell like gingerbread. They really do. The peppermint, I've talked to John about this. Maybe the overwhelming smell of the gingerbreads ramping out the peppermint payout. But we also have Unwrap the Cash. These don't smell at all, but they do provide winners. The Maryland Lottery getting together with our friends at Window Nation 866-90 Nation, as well as our friends at Jiffy Lube Multi-Care. My little oil light about to go back on and blink orange again. Get out to Jiffy Lube Multi-Care for oil changes and more. We're at State Fair this week. We're going to be at Curio next Friday in Far and Dodder up on York Road. That's Friday the 15th. Also putting the date together with Wise Markets for Christmas week. And we'll be at Fadley's just after Christmas, all brought to you by our friends at the Maryland Lottery. Luke is monitoring all things Ravens this week. We have the winter meetings going on in Nashville for baseball. We'll get to all of that. Lots and lots of stuff going on here and lots of really fresh, great conversations up at Baltimore Positive. I'm Nestor. We are WNST, AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore. The bye week's over. The Ravens have the Rams. Stay with us for some great Baltimore Positive all week long.